Hi, I'm Roxanne Carrillo Garza. Thanks for joining us today to take the time to reflect on the work of Martin Luther King Jr., who fought boldly to change the conditions of poverty, oppression, and racism in the civil rights movement decades ago. This day means a lot to me. As a young girl growing up in the 60s and 70s, the leadership of Martin Luther King Jr. in the civil rights movement resonated with me. He inspired me to speak truth to power during the days of school busing. It was a very rough time during integrated school busing. Many communities didn't want their students to be bused to other areas. And I was flat in the middle of that debate and remember speaking out to superintendents of this large school district I was in school in. It also inspired me to pursue a degree in political science and later dedicate my career to a life of policy advocacy and really to lift up the voices of people who are most impacted by the decisions that are made. Many times, the people that live in neighborhoods, in communities who know the right solutions don't get their voices heard as government makes decisions. We must remember that today that the sacrifices made by Dr. King and other leaders gave us freedom. In 1965, in response to the voting rights legislation passing, Martin Luther King said in one of his speeches, "Yes, we are on the move and no wave of racism can stop us." To me, that was very powerful and speaks to me now in terms of what's happening in our country. Now, today, it has inspired me to take the next step and run for County Supervisor District 4. I believe that our movement needs to tackle policies that still impact vulnerable brothers and sisters in our communities, such as housing the unsheltered, supporting a values-based county budgeting model, access for all for health, and economic security for families who've borne the brunt of inequalities over time, and especially during COVID. I want to share with you a story of a woman that I met when I did my day of service on Saturday. We connected with her in a park in Concord, and she has a severe wound that might take her life. And although mobile healthcare has been provided, a person shouldn't be left outside while healing from a life-threatening injury. Our county must do better. As a county, we need a more permanent solution for those who are unsheltered. This population is growing in our cities. We need to purchase land and buildings to provide different approaches to transitional housing, and services need to be supported by the community. I will support the Miles Hall Crisis Response Initiative to be coordinated across cities and fully staffed by June of 2023. Most calls for help during mental health crises can be de-escalated by a properly trained and experienced clinical and peer staff. Back to history for a minute. In early 1965, MLK led peaceful voting demonstrations in Selma, only to be arrested the first time, and a month later became known as Bloody Sunday. On March 15th, the voting rights legislation passed to ensure federal and local elections are free, fair, and racially inclusive. And now here we are in 2022, and this action and the legislation are being eroded by limiting voter registration, reducing early voting, cutting the number of polling places in urban areas, and limiting mail and drop box voting. It's clear that the right to vote is still in danger. The equation is simple. No universal voting rights equals no democracy. We must support the work of Congressman DeSaulnier to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. It's so critical for our country, for our county, for District 4. So I really just want to thank you for joining me today. I know the last interview I had, or the last video I had, was a little rougher, but I had a lot of really good comments and folks that joined earlier today. And I want to encourage all of you to take the rest of today and into this next week, take the time to think about what it means to you, what this day means to you, and how you want to commit yourself to having meaningful activity around the democratic process in 2022. Thank you so much for joining.